You know, I'm starting to wonder if Justin Trudeau even wants to be prime minister anymore. He seems totally checked out. I mean, 8 years in to his reign, his big achievement seems to have been just making Canada unaffordable for Canadians. People can't afford to pay their rent. People can't afford to buy property. If they have bought property, they can't afford to pay their mortgages. Our healthcare is degraded to the point where now they're just offering people medical assistance and dying instead of treatment. Canadians are struggling just to buy food, and apparently the best solution that Justin Trudeau can muster is a plan to reduce cow burps, which I might suggest, and hey, I'm no political scientist or anything, I think it may be kind of low on Canadians' list of priorities right now. So let's take a quick look at this from Brian Lilly from the Toronto Sun. At the United Nations COP28 meetings taking place in Dubai, the Trudeau government just announced plans to tackle climate change by reducing emissions from cow burps and manure. It's the latest in a series of climate change announcements made by Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, and yes, this is actually him in this picture, at the Global Climate Conference, and just like the others, it will cost you. So the COP28 Climate Conference, where thousands of politicians and activists fly in on their private planes to a place that would not even exist if not for fossil fuels, that if fossil fuels disappeared today, would cease to exist tomorrow. But apparently the plan at this point is to provide farmers and ranchers raising beef cattle with credits for reducing methane emissions. Those credits could then be sold to other companies who need to reduce emissions but haven't done so. So that's the theory, I guess, if this were executed competently. And you know, maybe other countries have an expectation that their government will do things competently. But those countries wouldn't have Justin Trudeau leading them. But let's see, increased costs will come from changing the diets of beef cattle to meet the government's demands for lower methane emissions. There are various ways to lower methane emissions using diet, but all of them come with a cost. Increasing the amount of corn silage fed to the herd and decreasing the use of hay can reduce methane emissions, as can adding certain types of seaweed or other types of chemical additives. All of these options cost more than current practices. So it's going to cost even more to produce the beef than it does now, and in theory, the farmers will make that money back in carbon credits. I think I smell another disaster coming. And you know, you just think that with food prices where they are now in Canada and how much people are struggling, you'd just think that maybe somebody in that liberal government might say, hold on, let's not fuck anything else up. Let's just try and go a month without fucking anything up. But again, this is the Trudeau government, and this is the Environment Minister. But let's take a look at the leading emitters of methane in the world. So in 2020, the top emitter of methane was China with 1,186,285 kilotons of methane. Where's Canada here? Well, Canada's way down here with 100,000. So that's less than 10% of what China does. Only China, just China alone, okay, does 10 times, over 10 times more than Canada does. That's one country. So if we compare Canada's emissions to the entire world, it's about 1.6%. And even if they were able to achieve, say, 30% cut in methane, it's not going to make any difference. No difference to the world. Canada cannot change the world's climate, period. Not going to happen. Just needlessly complicating and making more expensive the process by which we get our food. I don't know if Trudeau's aware of this, but people like food. And when he makes it more difficult for people to get food, they tend to not like that. I guess it doesn't matter to Trudeau, though, because I'm sure that the people at COP28 are all telling him what a good boy he is. And at this point, it's pretty much the only place in the world where anybody's going to like him. Or, sorry, pretend to like him. Anyway, back to this article. The people who will be hurt the most from these changes, though, will be those at the bottom of the economic ladder. Those who can least afford beef right now will find it less affordable in the future. That doesn't matter to Guilbeault. He leads a jet-setting lifestyle paid for by you. We pay his salary, we pay for his airfare to these climate change conferences, we pay for his registration fees and the food that he eats while he's there. He isn't going to notice an increase in prices. You will. And if you think that he could care less, well, you're either a TRUDEAU'S cult member or you just woke up from a coma. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. Sharing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.